This is the first time we've done this. It has turned out to be amazing. It has been fantastic. It has been a lot of work. There are some things that are not 100%, but we're going to go on. We're not even going to discuss it. We're not even going to look at it, because what we do in God's honor, any mistake is forgiven. Okay. When we first started this, really wasn't sure where we were going to go with it, but it has expanded, and as you can see, there's so many people here, there's so many families represented here today that it's amazing. I spoke with Thomas a while back about doing a presentation on the history of the church, because like most people, I didn't know the history, and a lot of it was from memory, and he was able to gather some of that information from some of the members who are now deceased. So he's going to give you an overview of how he came about the material that he has in the history. And right now there is, in addition to Thomas Ball, who is going to do the presentation, he's the son of Ms. Anna Laura and Charlie Ball, for those of you who don't know. He holds a master in divinity, and so he's an expert in what he's getting ready to present to you. But other than Thomas, there's Miss Lil Larkin, who is still here, Miss Lilibel Larkin, who was able to provide some history, Miss Mamie Portis, who was able to help me with the history, as well as Deacon T.C. Drummond, who was able to provide us the history. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Thomas and let him give you what he needs you to know.
Carrie, if you will hold a minute. She said this has not been perfect, but I believe that it has been as close to perfect as it can be. And there has been mistakes, they've not been noticed. Now, with church, we always start with prayer. And I don't see my first cousin Robert here, or Red, but I do see Deacon Bruh, who can give us our opening prayer. We need to invite God's presence. Will you come? Amen. Deacon Bruh.
Deacon Bruh. Put me on the spot, but that's all right.
Let us all say it.
Let us bow our head and go into the throne of grace. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for just allowing us to come before thy throne, God. We thank you for all of the traveling grace that you have bestowed upon us, Father. Oh God, we thank you for all of the loved ones that have come together to understand what has taken place in the past. God, we hope that you allow us to absorb everything that is being presented to us today, that we may carry it on to the future, Father. Oh God, I thank you for all of the blessings that you have bestowed upon each and every one of us, each and every individual way, Father. And for this we say thank you, Father. We ask that you bless this moment that is about to take place. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. And we're going to try to do this in an hour. And everything that happens in the church, it ought to happen with some kind of order. And obviously I planned some order before coming. It's okay to challenge me or to ask me how I know what I say or what leads me to conclude what I conclude. Raising such a question with me is fair game. I ought to be responsible for each statement that comes out of my mouth. Amen. I do not hope, plan, or intend to make any irresponsible statement. Obviously, a team is needed for everything, and I don't know if the church has a cleanup detail for tomorrow. Since we're going to try this in an hour, somebody will obviously need to be around to get things ready for tomorrow. Rather than presenting it, started that I would present PowerPoint in the back, and once it moved to inside, PowerPoint was not going to work. So I'm going to give a brief overview, and we're going to take questions for an hour. In the church, everything is at the highest of order. I bring my very best in here. And we will look for the very best because we are in the church and we are under the watchful eye of God. This is, and I would need to say this is church history, not family genealogy. And I say that because we don't want to dive over into the wrong place. Brother Bird in here? Okay. Brother Bird, I guess one ground rule is if we get tangled up somewhere, just yell, move on.
All right.
Okay, Freddie Mae, are you in? Okay, move on, and once move on comes, I will move or we will need to change subject. That's the format. Okay, now I'm going to start with an overview. How this came about, it must have been summer of perhaps 98, Reverend Burton's first year here. I was here for the third Sunday in July. And Mama gave an oral history. And I said she had told it the way she wanted it to go. And I was in summer school that summer, and went back to class and mentioned that she did an oral history and told it the way she wanted it to go. I got asked, doesn't all historians do that?
Yeah,
they do.
what's the history?
Right, they tell it the way they want it to go.
I see.
And Reverend Burton suggested that if I knew another way, that perhaps I should research and present on the next year. So I called together that August, Mama, who was doing the history at the time, Inez Larkin from New Orleans, Leo met with us, Becky, Leo, where are you?
Here I am.
Okay, Little Bell met with us. Little Bell, she in? Lorene met with us. Okay, she's here. Lorene met with us. Miss Lucy had married into this church in 1935. She met with us. Mr. Uddis met with us. And TC met as we were seeking to put together. Now, what I call that was a cross-section of the church. And Freddie Mae was with us. Freddie Mae served as an on-site coordinator of the meetings while I was in Atlanta and doing much of it by paper. That was inclusive of the families, and it was a cross-section of the church. And we spent a year before we came back. I think the last time I was here was June of 99, and we presented on for the anniversary, but we didn't release it to everybody. What happened is I really was sort of discounting Mr. Ellis Walker. He sat over here, the rest of us sat over here, and he had every bit of the information we needed sitting over here. And it was unbelievable and amazing. Now, I made a grave error that year. My error was others were to interview Mr. Uddis because I didn't want it to come that the history was biased because of me, and I did not interview him, and that's very unfortunate with him being born in 1906, very willing to give information. What I want to do now is go to page 3, and just above the deacon. These are the people that the census showed were in this community in 1890. 125 years ago, the census tells me that these families were in this community. Beatrice. I brought my evidence, and you will, I guess I'll need to keep one. If this is in alphabet, that's in numerical order, and if you need to pull one, I'll tell you which one to pull. Keep them in order, please. The Whiteman family, Addie Whiteman, and Addie was here, census tell me, in 1890. She has a number of relatives still here. Mr. Calvin Maxwell was here in 1890. Mr. Calvin Maxwell has a number of family members here now. And Julie Taylor was here in 1890. And Julie has a number of relatives here now. Uncle Oliver Pfeffer, and I'm not related to these people, I just heard these names, Amy and Uncle Oliver Pfeffer. Uncle Oliver was a babe's dad. And Julie Taylor was Miss Sweet's mother. Okay, Uncle Archie Walker was here in 1890. Uncle Archie was Miss Alice and Miss Alva's daddy. Mr. Ed Sheffield was in this community in 1890. That was Mr. Buster's daddy. J.W. Drummond was in this community in 1890. That's T.C.'s granddad. Uncle Rob Davis was in this community, and they were these ages I have listed here in 1890. And these 6 people, or people in their family or in their household, may have been in the very first meeting of Pine Grove Church, and those families have remained here with the exception of Uncle Oliver Pfeffer. That family has died out. Kanima, Mr. Buddy Pfeffer, Aunt Babe, Nellie, and that group. So starting with that 1890, we know that Reverend Glassball was the first pastor, and Conhubbard Larkin, you folks really, Conhubbard put him as the organizer. Conhubbard was born in 1892. We don't know at what point Reverend Ball no longer was pastor of this church. What we know is Mr. Ellis Walker sat over here and said he was baptized around the time he was 10 years old, and Mr. Ellis was born around 1906, so 1916, Reverend Watkins was pastor of this church. Are you with me, people?
Yes.
And you have it before you. After Reverend Watkins, Freddie Mae went to Miss Métis and learned that Reverend Lee Thomas baptized Miss Métis in the early 20s. Miss Métis lived from 1915. In fact, Miss Métis would be 100 this year, and I believe she was top 80s when she died. But Reverend Lee Thomas. Now, Reverend Lee Thomas was pastor a very short while, because in 1926, Clary, your Aunt Matt was baptized by Reverend Sharp. So 2 or 3 years after Miss Métis was baptized, Reverend Sharp was here and baptized Matt, who was born in 1911. She was, I think she said she was about 13 when she was baptized. She came from Brunson over here. I like the old stories they tell. She came from Brunson over here for revival to join Pine Grove and stay and get baptized, and then the story goes on. But now we come to the 20s, a number of people and families were moving into this community. Your family, the census tells me, has been here 100 years. It was not here in 1900, but it was here in 1910. I have the data here. This Harm's data. That's going to be, 13, 14, and 14. She'll get 13. Miss Mary is not in that one. Miss Lizzie was the youngest that year. Okay. Reverend Burton came in, and I did not know him, but I lived a little while during Reverend Burton's tenure. He was here about 20 years, not this Burton. We're going to talk about administration, but we're not going to talk about the present Burton's administration, because that administration is still active. His work is not over here. Amen. So, the first Burton was here 20 plus years, but no one in the meeting could give us an exact date that he came in. And as close as we could fix it, he left around 1954, because we know that Reverend Davis was here around 1955. Now, the first Burton is where we start with the administration of these people. And Leo Larkin pushed to me to do the social setting and the theological issues in each of the administrations. You didn't know you were. The first burden dealt with the war, men leaving the community, rationing, hard times, conduct, and that kind of thing was what he had to deal with. And he was a pastor who was coming on the train from Meridian, and I believe he was staying with Uncle Rob Davis. Now, after that burden, there was Reverend J.B. Davis came. And Reverend Davis, I did see and know him. He was here a very short while, and I had to make a couple of calls to make sure that he was a little short, heavy-set guy. I really wish there had been people living that I could have asked why he only stayed 1 year. Since the first burden stayed 20 plus years, Davis stayed a year, Kemp stayed 20 years, McDonald 20, and we've had 17 from this Reverend Burden and going to get a minimum of 20. And that guy only stayed 1. There's a reason why he left, and that information would be important. As I prepared for this, I used for my preparation, Charlie Carey, your brother Glenn, since we were here at the same time, same year as Louis Foster, to see where the discussion would like to come from. And he believes it will come from the Kemp years. Reverend Kemp had some interesting dynamics. Very honorable guy, one of the most honorable people I've ever known. Reverend Kemp, but he had a challenge. One of the challenges I had to, well, the challenge that caused me to go with the social issues is there were one of the bigger issues with Reverend Kemp, or with his administration, was the church had issues with his son taking the car to the club on Sunday night where the church members' car was. And that's important because that became, can you see the issue there?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a lot of, the car was made holy. Reverend Kemp at home at York in the bed, Empress Kemp. But the car was up there again. So that's when you really don't have any problems. That's your problem. You don't have any, but certainly his son needs to go where everyone else went. Reverend Kemp, a challenge he had, Reverend Kemp had deacons, all of them from the Burden and Davis administration. And he was here 20 years, and every one of those people lived all the way through his administration. And Reverend McDonald buried them. Mr. Big Baby was here when he got here. Mr. Doc was here. Mr. Nathaniel was here. And Mr. Robert Foster. They predated him, and then he left them here. So he really never got a chance to get a grip. You almost have to ordain and put your own people in to get from point A to point B, and he did not get that opportunity. Now, the interesting thing is Reverend McDonald buried each of those people that Reverend Kemp had during his entire time here. Reverend Kemp spent much time with Miss Sally and Mr. Nathaniel. And as I talked about this last week, that probably challenged his work beyond capacity. He did not mix out with the community and the church as much as I liked him and served directly under him. That would have served his purpose better if he had built a number of relationships instead of one. Didn't realize it until starting to study this. That will throw you if your activity is one-sided. Reverend McDonald ordained. Now, I said Reverend McDonald, they call a very fascinating storyteller, I believe that paper says. And that shoots right out by you. But he had some fascinating stories. And they were not necessarily biblical.
Okay. Yeah, you know.
Richard Price say he tells some fascinating stories. One of the better ones I heard him tell. today, 25 years ago, we were in Miss Sally Wiggins' funeral here. And I was sitting up there, I know I heard him say this. He was coming from Meridian. Miss Sally was sick. And he was coming from Jackson to Meridian. While he was on the freeway coming from Jackson, Mississippi to Meridian around 2 o'clock, that big Lincoln he had just zooped around in the road and spun and went on to Meridian. He said, I said, old Sally's gone. I know he said. Then he said that he wasn't through. That one year there was a drought through here and everybody's garden burned up. Miss Sally and Mr. Nathaniel planned a road for the preacher, and his road didn't burn up, and everything else in the garden burned up. Fascinating story. It's a fascinating story. He brought a guy here for a revival one year that he said had been dead for 3 or 4 days and maybe buried. Do anybody remember that? Okay. Yeah. Some fascinating stuff. Fascinating. Very rich process, very fascinating. Well, that's basically it. Now, I will take questions. Shoot. Shoot. The Red Fox once was in a boxing match. And nobody would come in the ring, and he says, sir, will you help that old lady up in the ring? So I'm going to get something from Columbus folks over here. Okay, go ahead. Dorothy, where are you? Oh, yeah. Ask something. Destiny? Don't you want to know something? Okay, very good, very good. This question comes from Columbus folks. Yes, ma'am. What is it? That's Columbus. That's Columbus. H.B. Larkin. That's Uncle John and Aunt Laura Larkin's son. Uncle John was a preacher, and Laura Larkin died in the 1950s. But now ask a question about your history. It's not genealogy, but that's
No, I didn't know he was a preacher.
Columbus preached him many times.
I didn't. I'm a baby compared to her.
Oh, no problem.
When I saw Reverend before his initials was the first time I ever knew he was a
Reverend
preacher.
H.B. Larkin was
Yes.
Columbus. Is that right, good man?
Thank you, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it had to be in the 50s, late 50s. Bell was up there, and I'm glad nobody was here when that storm came.
61.
It was 61. Okay.
61.
Now this is interesting. Ben, who is Henry's grandfather, was the last person that would tone the bell when there was a funeral. As soon as the cars and the lights would come, he'd tone the bell and it would change the mood on the yard. I got a couple stories to go with that. Ben be looking down the road for the bell. Every car that comes down, he'd say, is that it? I said, no, couldn't be, that's not it. Yes, it is. No, couldn't be any light, that's not it, light's not on. Next car, is that it? But as soon as you tell him it's it, he was going to hit that bell. And it was a pretty difficult sounding bell. And after a storm blew it down, it was not put back up. And that bell was quite heavy. And it's probably good that it did not get put back up. Because if it had fallen on someone, it would have killed them. Go ahead, Nita.
Did they put up a different bell? Because I remember.
There was, you have not seen that bell, couldn't be in there. I guarantee you that. That bell came down 59 or 60 and had been back up. DC, yes sir. DC, both sides of DC's family were here in 1890. And Julie Taylor was here and Uncle Rob Davis was here. And they may have been in the first meeting of this church. Go right ahead.
What I want to ask you was, you know that Reverend Kemp's son is still living in Meridian.
Jerome or Kemp Jr.?
Jerome.
One of those boys still there?
Still living in Meridian. He in Meridian.
I wouldn't have said what I said if I Yes, sir.
Who parked all those cars those days?
Okay.
There you go.
During the revival, at night, ever since I've been able to remember, Spudjack would be out there with his flashlights. Soon as it turned off, he doing his light over there. Yeah, and I don't know how long that had been going on. What I do know is Cousin Robert Lott and Mr. Nathaniel Williams were the last to come by wagon and horse. Cousin Robert would tie his horse over there for Sunday school every Sunday. And Mr. Nathaniel would park his wagon back there. Did you have your hand up, sir? Okay. Okay.
What happened to the pond that we all was baptized in down the street? What happened to that?
Now this becomes interesting because this is going to, but I have to say it as one of my aunt's sons said, who is now deceased. If you're in the church, you have to tell the truth. Now, Bont Mean, Joyce Davis, Mary Alice, Elna Ruth, and a group of us were baptized at Zion Hill. Miss Alma was going to take Joyce back, and we had to have baptizing during revival. And Reverend Kemp sent us and didn't go.
Yeah, that's right.
You remember that?
Yeah, and Ernest James Brown too.
You know, and I don't think any of that stuff helped him as much as I liked him. He was very casual, but a nice guy. You'll never find a guy nicer than Reverend Kemp. Him and Cousin Hubbard real well. Yeah. Okay. I didn't get baptized in the pond. Reverend Kemp sent me to Zion. I've seen people baptized in the branch down here on that third Sunday in September when it's cold. Yeah. Well, they got baptized over behind his dump's house also. But I happen to, but those places, the one down by Daisy's house and Mr. Erie Johnson, that's the last place I saw baptized in the outside. And it really wasn't that deep. You were baptized down there? Okay. Well, I got Zion Hill Church. Next. Yes.
Well,
You are who?
my name is Janice Lynn Drummond Polk, okay?
You are Pettis' daughter.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Patterson and Large.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Papa Jack was my father.
Right.
Or my
I
grandfather.
knew Cousin Jack, Cousin Luce. I knew of Uncle Brian named Fanny. Go ahead.
Okay.
Throw me in the curve.
Well, for me, Pine Grove is just like 2 weeks. In August, we all have to come up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they always bring us home. But you know how the church been all crowded and all that. And the little kids, I was always wondering how the guy with the ice, how did the ice stay cold in his trunk? We had snow cones and who was that?
I'm not a scientist, so I cannot tell you what degree that ice is from.
You buy you a 50-pound ice, you wrap it up in that croaker sack, and that croaker sack kept that ice melted all day long.
But now, are you aware of the fact that your mother's brother was one of the biggest snowball sellers around here? Are you aware of that?
No, I just know that my father was a little moonshiner. That's about it.
Well, Larkins knew that well, but you're not aware that Lilybell's husband sold snowballs?
Oh.
You didn't know that?
I was just getting it. Okay, I didn't pay much. I was young. So that was on the team.
Next.
That was on the team.
Yes, Pete.
Okay.
Let's listen up.
Are there any
So you put me in the sun.
meetings that gave any insight to
That's the hard part. No, when we were doing this in 99, Lil over here. Lil, are you still in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, she kept saying, and she kept saying that if Cousin Ben was here, and I was thinking this time, if we didn't have those people we had then, you know, yeah, we could have used Cousin Ben then, but if we didn't have Mr. Ellis and those people out there, those people, all of the older of that group is gone. So it changes. But no, there were no records. Mr. Ellis was, he was really the historian that caused stuff to come together. But I think from this point forward, there needs to be, because 100 years from now, people are going to be sitting here trying to find out what we did. I guarantee you they will be trying to find out what we did, and we ought to leave them a record. As Dr. Mays, one of his favorite quotes is, "He who forgets his past is doomed to repeat it." So you need to know from where you come, what tangled you up. But no, there was no records. Now, one of the problems be that we talk about now a lot. When these people were living, we didn't need to have any record or anything. We just go ask them. And we didn't think about, these people are really not going to be here forever. And for example, Addie, who was born in 1862, got 96 years old, lived in the house with us. I was 8 years old when she died. She was Reverend Glassball's wife. And she had a lot of information that she would casually drop, but nobody thought that we would need to put this together. Anne died in 1958. 57 years later, we would need to be putting this together. So we let her go with that information. And you're right, Reverend H.B. Larkin, when Cousin Hubbard made that statement, if he made it now in front of me, I'd have a lot of questions. But it was not in 1968. Yes. Now you are who?
I'm Ruby Harmon's daughter-in-law.
Miss Ruby?
Yes,
I know Miss Ruby. You know well. Mary and I were first graders together. Now go right ahead.
What year did they stop having the Marlins badge during the revival?
That may have been after I left in 1968. I know I sat on it over here. I was told that I wasn't ready for it. And Elder Ruth was back there telling me, if you go, I'll go. You go, I'll go. And if Usher put you on, you could stay. And Millibell was ushering and put me on, and we joined, and we was baptized. Are any of you in churches where they motion people in and out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Give a definition.
So what?
Give a definition of what you're saying.
Brother Pastor, I moved that Brother Fluker be received as a candidate for baptism, then taken down to the water, baptized, brought back into church, right-hand fellowship, made a full-fledged member of the Pine Grove Missionary Baptist Church. That's okay.
Thank you, I
In your church not doing that? No. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm told there can be some problem with voting in, but whosoever will, let him come.
Yes, sir.
And if a person say he has, but I'm not throwing politics, it's my belief that it may not necessarily be the finest piece of doctrine. But it's okay. It was pretty required. But in that day and time, let me back up. After slavery and until during my lifetime, the church was the only place a black man in the South could go and be somebody. The ladies were a little more by working in the folks' house, but the men were given some trouble by everybody out there so they could come in the church and make those fine motions and train, and that really is what brought us across, watching those people do that. Sunday school report here, I remember we practiced in the field when we first started coming to Sunday school, how to make the report. Brother Superintendent, class number 5 was wonderfully taught by Sister Jessie Mae Smith. Number present, 5, money raised, 38 cents. It's important stuff for training. point of stuff for training children. And I believe Pine Grove may be still.
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's extremely important. Extremely important. You're getting them early, and you're getting some process in them. Now, you know, in the city, we go around, drop off envelopes and pick them up, and some churches, the Sunday school will assemble, and sometimes it will assemble quarterly, and sometimes it may not ever assemble. Just have Sunday school every Sunday. Never, but it's important to bring that unification and bringing together. That becomes very important. Now, I'm taking a question out of what you have before you. I don't care who it is, what it is, but somebody gonna pull a question out of this stuff. Otherwise, I've done all this work and it doesn't matter. Now, who's gonna raise a question out of it? Thank you.
Were we able to find out the family that provided the property here?
Well,
Do they still live in?
Okay, now that's interesting and that's good. The cemetery, I've heard Mr. Big Baby say a number of times that some of the cemetery was on his property. We know that that property, Drummond property, is right by it. Now, I have decided to believe, no evidence of this, that the church actually started up where the cemetery is. My mind's eye want to believe that. There were roads, and there really was no main road. And where the cemetery is, Squajack lived back there, Mr. T.S. Smith lived back there, and any number of people lived beyond. And the way the roads, as the roads got bigger and they blacktopped and more people stayed on them, the main road ended up somewhere else. Now the Gaston family, the Steller's family, donated the land for the church for as long as it's used as a church, the church may keep it. Now, since that paper was taken to the courthouse in 1913, but it was not signed until 1915, that paper says that this church can only be used as a church, or it has it as long as it's a church. Those folks are long dead. Remember, don't y'all start no nightclub in here. Well, I know him real well.
So is that family still in the area?
No, Mr. Jess, the house, okay. The house down here in the curve was Mr. Jess and Miss Stella Walter. They were white. And it was the Gaston family. Miss Stella was a Gaston. And
That's the white?
right. That's Miss Stella's family. Okay. Well, the house right where that driveway is there, Miss Ruby Harmon's house was right there across that driveway, and that's Walton property. And across, see, Mr. Jess lived on Miss Stella's folks' property, I learned from the census report. So it was Miss Stella's folks. Miss Stella was older than Mr. Jess, too. The census report says, but DC, if we saw him in the car, we could tell that, right? That's right. It's clear. Is that right, Ed? That's right. You saw Miss Jess and Miss Stella, we know which one the oldest. Okay, very good. B, if nobody else asks a question, get you another one ready, but I need a question from over here. I don't have a right arm. Yes, very good. Who was it?
Over here.
Good. Come on up.
I want to talk about the struggle of the church. So 1955, we just had folks in the church up there. Because I remember they bought my grandfather ain't him, Van Johnson Logan. Yeah, used to have folks in him. It used to be a door here, 1956. Used to be a road coming up from there. Used to be a well down there.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And then in 1969, the bricks were put around the church. Okay, in 1972, the dining room, the kitchen back there in 85 for the fellowship hall. And 2011, the pale room, we put the pale on.
Okay, now we need to say while he's standing here, he was the first active church member to get a contract to do major work here. And I learned in 99, he did fellowship hall back there. It was 1963 that this side was put on, and Jimbo Williams from Tuscaloosa put this side on. It was Nathaniel Williams' son. And we met for a month at the school. We had Sunday school at the school. And Sunday in May 1963, we came back in, but this was all of the church in 1963. Okay, very good. Now yes, go ahead.
What was that hearing called?
Well, this used to be the men amen corner, and that was the ladies amen corner. In fact, Sister Kemp sat right here, and I believe Ms. McDonald sat here too. And in the 50s, Ms. Cootie Foster ushered right here. I put it saying Brook 1. They were, and Cut Evie were over here in their white pants at night during the revival. Yes, sir.
Was there a total of membership?
Now, this is interesting, and I'm glad you raised that. This is very important. And Reverend Kemp had some challenging years. I showed that the families I know that moved away during Reverend Kemp's years. And it may look small, but if a pastor comes in and has 32 families, and in 8 or 9 years he got 21, that is a significant reduction in the number of people and what the church can do and activities. So Reverend Kemp was here during the time families were moving away. And I want to talk about that also, to say how important that was. He saw the numbers go down, whereas in the 20s the numbers were going up. In the 40s and 50s, people were leaving individually, but when households and old people are packing up and leaving, like Miss Irene, Jean, where is Jean? Jean in here? Jean Marcus. Okay, see Miss Irene, Jean, Jimmy, and Man left. Miss Irene was in her 60s. That's a family count. Miss J.C. Barlow, 9 people, family count. So there were families leaving, and that was challenging. But as we come to the end, I want to share a piece that's extremely important. And I'm going to need you to follow it because this is the teaching piece. And I need you to follow me to the letter. When I say Cutting Robert was a strong doctrinal and biblical scholar, he was as strong of a scholar as I've ever seen. And Cutting Robert was born in 1896, Charlotte. Lockheed. I don't know if he studied beyond the Lockheed Quarter, but he was sharp. He was sharp. I'm glad he was sharp. In May of 68, they decided that they would silence him. That's when the church, was forming. We call it the church is forming. It's getting strong. Okay. And it made me write the letter, which I was scared. And, but when Robert got that letter Saturday before the third Sunday in May, he had to do an apology before he come back here and have membership. He took that letter, read it. I put Reverend Noel Kemp, pastor, Deacon Dr. Wood, Chair Dick Bowen, Sister Gertie Mae Lockett, she was not here that night, church clerk. I ain't put my name on nowhere. Just going on that. Okay. Cutting Robert, watch this now. On the first Sunday in June, went to Zion Hill Baptist Church, joined on the Christian Experience. Third Sunday, sitting here at Pine Grove. Reverend Kemp opened the doors of the church, and Robert walked up and joined under the Christian Experience from Zion Hill for 2 weeks. They made that motion and took him in, and that took care of that. Now, is that sharp? See, people are doing all kind of stuff in churches now. Well, is this man following Baptist doctrine? As they say, you couldn't get a stick and beat him. He's good. He's good. That's it for me. Yeah, I did get a question from over there. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let me just ask one question about, if you know this, because I've been trying to figure it out.
Shoot it.
Yeah. Can you, if you know, can you state the names of
Reverend Glassball Children's.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
Peter Ball was perhaps the oldest. And Isidore, who is Ida Ball, perhaps the second oldest. Uncle George, no, and Minnie Cheney was older than Uncle George. And then after Uncle George was Aunt Annie. What I need to do now, though, and this becomes very important, and I'm going to start with Aunt Julie Taylor's people. All of Aunt Julie's people stand up, please. That's you too. Aunt Julie Taylor's people stand up. Wait, Aunt Julie, stand up. Aunt Julie was Miss Sweet's mother. Oh, hey, well, how you doing? Aunt Julie's great-granddaughter. Okay, these are, let's say, these daughters. Okay, Aunt Julie was a midwife. She delivered babies. Listening to stories, the last time I saw James T. in Akron, he said when he saw headlights coming, he knew Aunt Julie was getting ready to deliver a white baby. He said she delivered Bebo Grime, but if a wagon was coming, he knew it was a black baby. Aunt Julie. Does Uncle Archie Walker have any people here? Well, Beatrice Walker, Jimmy Lee's wife, is Uncle Archie's great-granddaughter. Aunt Addie's people would not be Uncle Peter's people. Aunt Addie's people stand. How many? Bail, y'all got to get it up. Aunt Addie and Moonbeam sisters. These are Aunt Addie's people. Okay. Destiny, you too. Aunt Addie got 96. Stand up faster than that the next time. Okay. I got 96. You want to be like that? Okay, take your seat. Uncle Rob Davis's people. Okay. Uncle Rob, okay, take a seat. Uncle Rob, I understand, was chair of Deacon Board. In fact, I understand Uncle Rob was running this church before Mr. Doc. That he started Sunday school in the late 40s. And I thought, and Glenn and I talked about last week, I was a kid. I mean, I had no idea Sunday school in here was that young as well and as strong as it was. But Mr. Doc had come here from York and brought some steel from a church in York that made this church very strong. Peter Ball, all of, well, let's say Reverend Glassball's people. That would be Brooks, if any of Kaneebe's people are here. Balls, Porterses, Cheneys, Stan, Baskins. Any Baskins? Okay. And who are these people? You are who? Okay, these ain't either of those folks. The heavy folks. These Bucks folks. Yes. Okay. So none of that's your fault. Did you stand? Okay. Well, then you'd have been standing for Buck. No problem. I'm just messing with you. Ron, were you about to say something? Okay. Any Sheffields? Okay. What is that? Who? You a who? Which one? Gina Castor. You Cat's granddaughter? Cat was 2 grades ahead of me in school. Of course, I was glad 65. Oh, that one. Yeah, I know one. Okay. Yeah. February 1968. You know that kind of stuff. Don't push. Yeah, if Drummond, J.W. Drummond's people, will you stand? Clary, we met at anyone else. We've done Ed Sheffield, we've done Uncle Rob, Uncle J.W. Drummond married Calvin McSwain's daughter, which was an M. Okay, okay, okay. Who are you people? Okay, and this is who behind you? Okay. Junior Morgan, Junior Morgan's sister. And that's who? This not that. I know who you are now. Yes, ma'am. Okay, you Junior sister. Okay, I didn't know Junior till he moved back. Okay, very good. Well, that's it for me. I have, yes. Oh, census. I can distribute these. Harvey, I'll give you glass ball. I'll give you an Azado. Ain't many change doesn't have anyone in here. Where Mary Kay at? Mary Kay, step up here. Ain't many changes, but one of Reverend Glass's older kids.
Oh,
Peter. And his wife, yeah. Uncle Rob Davis. Yes, ma'am. Which Brown? Clem and Mr. Joetti are in. Clem joined Pine Grove 2 or 3 years before I left. Miss Lucy came here in well, she married Mr. Buster in 35, so Miss Lucy came here after that. Clem came, he left Oak Grove and came since Betty has married T.C. and been here, and Mr. Joetti joined later. They had a history of Methodism. They were at Union Chapel. But Clem served as a deacon here, and so did Mr. Joetti. Now, Mr. Joetti and Mr. Doc Willard's funeral was on the same day. Mr. Doc, Reverend McDonald buried 2 deacons that day. Mr. Doc at 11 and Mr. Joetti at 1 o'clock. Wallace Davis would be Snow's granddaddy. Okay. And Emma, okay, Mr. Matthew Kluka. Okay, I'll get that to you in a minute. Foster, what's out here? Murphy. Now, Matty B and Cut don't have anybody here, Uncle Rob. Where's Henry? Uncle Brian Lockett? Yeah, right here. I don't want to try to cut through them folks. Miss Irene. Forrest. Sheffield. One. Right here, one. Sheffield again. Now, well, look at that. Tony Smith and Joe Walker. Miss Pete. Yeah, Miss Pete's people in here. Yeah. Oh. Miss Ruby Carmen. Where? Well, Miss Mary Hall. Miss Pearl Hall. Uncle John was cutting Hubbard's hair. Look at Jack Lockett. There's not a whole lot you can tell me about cutting Jack I don't already know.
I'm just gonna ask you about
Ben Lockett. You a who? Oh, we. Okay. I'm getting old. Okay. Wallace Davis. Okay, well that's gonna take care of us. We will get ready to go. I hope, trust, and pray that this has been helpful to you. I've enjoyed the privilege of doing that.
Okay, now, okay, 2004, we had full time. During 2004, we did full time, going 11 years. Okay, last 2014, June of 2015, we started our service at 8 o'clock on 7 o'clock. That was the other time that we 11 o'clock on Christmas, 8 o'clock.
It was 3 Central and Mrs. 2 was Clem Brown, 12 Brown, 3 days.
Yeah, they came in that explosion that was coming in. We're gonna have a piece of closing prayer. Wayne, will you come and give it as we get ready to disassemble?
Let's pray. Father God, in the name of Jesus Christ, we just thank you so much for this opportunity, Lord, to come together, God, as members, current members, former members, family members, loved ones, Pine Grove Church. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to share this 100-year anniversary, Lord. We thank you for the church history that you made available to us today, God. And Lord, we thank you for traveling mercies. You bless each and every one of us to make it here, Lord, from wherever we come, God. And we just thank you for a blessed service on tomorrow. We thank you for a blessed season here as everybody is here in their hometown, the home of their birth, Lord God. We just thank you for just changing lives here this week during this revival, God. We thank you that souls will be saved, lives will be changed, and people will be healed, delivered, and set free in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.